Hello, everyone. Welcome to Subconscious Sundays. I'm your co-host, Reverend April Kling Meyer, and with me, as always, is the ever awesome Mr. Timothy Freeman, hypnotherapist. And we are here today to discuss a topic that I am emphatic about, I'm enthusiastic about, and that would be the hero's shadow. Now, I know that the word hero comes with a lot of different, I don't know, like emotional attachment is probably the best term I could come up with. Um, when I reached out to the Facebook community around this topic, I got a pretty wide variety of response. And the word hero is, to sum it up, the word hero is bandied about a lot. And is it always deserved? I think that's the question that we're going to be talking about today. And I really want to just honor that community feedback that we got this week, because I think they were kind of, while I hadn't announced that the topic was the hero's shadow at all, and nobody had any idea that that would be today's topic, it still made it into the current of what we'll be talking about today. So without further ado, though, I want to most definitely state what it is we're here to do, as we do every week. Have a fun and entertaining, laid-back way to discuss potentially serious and heavy topics, but remaining open and welcoming those who have questions or ideas to respectfully bring those to the conversation.
Yes, and thank you for those joining us today. Please do contribute respectfully in the chat. We love to have you with us there like that too. But this is a weekly ritual for us and our shared community, where we can gather in a virtual sacred space, sharing our knowledge and our learning about these topics while hearing your response.
And we only ask that you maintain these core values as best as you can, that you remain respectful of everyone's individual journey along with us, stay rooted in compassion for ourselves and others, promote growth and expansion, and create a supportive community with you as we co-create this on this show. And I think it's time to mention that this will probably be one of the last few that we're going to be doing for a while. I'm going back to get my master's degree. And Tim is embarking on a lot more solo work as well, partly thanks to this show. So he's going to be putting some focus into building his career as a solopreneur, and I cheer that on as well. But we will. It's within the works to come back into either this shape or another shape as a pair, because I mean, Tim and I are always going to be we're always going to be up to something.
Yeah, that's true.
That's just our style. But it looks like,
and we're having fun doing this. We hope you guys are too,
yeah.
Joining us here. So we'll, we've got a few more before that happens. But yeah, thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah. The end of this month, which is August 2023, the last Sunday of this month is the 27th, and that will be our last episode for a while. But we do intend to come back, and who knows how that will look. But we just really feel an enormous amount of gratitude for this space to have this show, and really, I think that the way that the community has shown up the most for us is providing us, grist for the mill when it comes to what we talk about. So many thanks to those of you who contribute to those comments, and to those of you who are able to show up live. That means an awful lot. So thank you.
Yeah. And the comments that we get from people, they're really, we're just individuals living our own lives. And so getting a broader perspective about how people are thinking about these topics has been really good to know, and to help craft what we're trying to share based on the work that we do with the subconscious mind.
Exactly. So that's a perfect cue to bring us over to what the question was this week, which was, what does it mean to you to be a hero? And I kept that really banal, right? Like I kept that really low key, just really kind of getting a definition from people being really through in their responses, which I'm sort of like delighted to see, because it sounds like that we're all collectively kind of coming at this at the same angle, but at the same time is also kind of sad that it has to be something that we're examining on. And we'll get to that in just a moment, but I want to start sharing these answers. First of all, we'll go with the one that is the most lighthearted and sweet. And Bear says, rescuing and nourishing kitties in need, saving various other animals, frogs, and insects from suffering or untimely deaths. She says, I don't think I've ever been a hero for the human layer of planetary occupants, but definitely for the other citizens. And I actually responded to this like, I beg to differ. She's like totally a practitioner on like so many levels of the spirit, of the body. Like I know for a fact this person has saved lives. So human lives as well as animal lives. But my next commenter would probably agree on the same thing. Like, definitely would agree that animals are important. And what Rachel says here is kind of really specifically relating to the human element of being a hero. Hero, like ally, is a title or identity that has to be given, not claimed or taken. This is a really excellent point. It requires giving something needed, but also does not require acknowledgement. It may be a sacrifice, may not. So, I mean, this comment is coming from somebody who I know really has a strong understanding of the ideas of like narcissism and martyrdom and things like that. So, being the hero, um, Rachel knows what that shadow looks like. It's definitely somebody who's tapping into that whole energy of what it is we'll be talking about today. So great. And then she goes on to quote not Richard Marx, but Karl Marx. I will be right here waiting for you. No.
Oh,
Each according to their
yeah,
ability.
hero.
Yeah, totally. Richard Marx is my hero. Karl Marx says, from each according to their ability, to each as they need. So, not that we're, raging communists around here. That's just me. I can't speak for Tim, but, but that is a very excellent quote from Karl Marx that she mentioned at the end of that. Bryce says, anything that an individual does to work towards the betterment of humanity is what makes a hero. And knowing Bryce, I know that he means that like the true betterment of humanity, not what is perceived to be the betterment of humanity. I want to make that distinction clear, because it's like Rachel said, I know Bryce is of this mindset as well, that it's not what the hero thinks is the betterment of humanity, but what humanity deems to be its own betterment.
The actual need that needs to be met.
Yes, the actual need, not the perceived need. Huge distinction here, and I pretty much don't even have to say anything else. This episode's done. Up for people and what is right is the foundation. And what I like about this comment from Barb is that standing up for people, and that the people are in the receiving end of the heroic deed or the heroic voice, because Barb would be somebody who would be, promoting people's voices in this discussion. And that would be, I'll be talking a little bit about that today, about just what it means to stand up for people and what it means to stand up for people in shadow as well. Kind of really going back to Rachel's comment a lot today. To be kind, empathetic, and compassionate to everyone. Anne-Marie knows what's up. Like, to be kind is not really going to require us to show up as heroes in any way that goes out of our own way. As Rachel mentioned before, like, it could be a big deal, or how does she put it? It could be a sacrifice, or it might not. Just to be kind, just to have empathy, just to have compassion is pretty darn heroic. And I remember I commented to that, like, we need more heroes that look like this. Jill had we had the next two are kind of a longer comment, but I think I try to edit these as much as possible, but these were really juicy. So I included all of them, and they're both two-parters. So Jill says, I definitely think people throw this word around too much. I have the attitude that you don't get a reward for doing what you know is right. The attitude strips the hero from many. And then she goes on to say, I think actions require a bit more above and beyond to get defined as heroic, which is a little bit different from what Rachel was saying, but and a little bit different from what Anne Marie was saying. But she says, I've had that title laid at my feet. I did not deserve it. Most who receive it or do not. And I think Jill's kind of coming at the hero's shadow a little bit with a different approach, like a different perspective. Like we tend to throw this around in ways that I don't want to read too much into what Jill is saying, but if I know Jill, we tend to throw this around in ways that are a little bit like propaganda-ish. Like we give the term hero to people who fit a certain template for what we believe is a national ideal, that sort of thing. I don't want to get too deep into that, but we'll be talking about levels of that in just a moment.
Well, one thing there with Jill, like just to before you go on, it's like above and beyond. Well, even I think even something like the previous comment being kind, empathetic, compassionate, in a way that's kind of going above and beyond this sort of like pop archetype of the hero, right? So there's a good way to look at that too.
Yeah, and I think you and I both would agree that that's what Jill means too. Like definitely. Joanna says, I don't think I could define what would make a person a hero because it's so objective. Someone I may consider a hero may not be one to others. Traditionally, it means to be admired for showing strength in the face of adversity. And I like that simple definition because it can mean showing strength for others or ourselves. I think there's beauty in being our own hero when we triumph over our own adversities. Oh, she beat me to the punch, Tim. That was going to be like my final thought today. But I've got a different final thought on that note, and Tim can probably see it, but I can't. So we've got some comments coming in from Bear. This is in response to us saying about she's a bit of a hero. You are. And then Crystal
Bear,
says,
I don't know you yet, but I know that you're awesome from everything I've heard.
I mean,
thank you for the work you're doing.
Should you no, when, not should you meet or if you meet, when you meet, it's gonna rock. It's gonna rock. The heroes in my life have made, Christelle says, the heroes in my life have made sacrifices to tell their stories, helping others become free to walk their own authentic story. Heroes often pave the way for others. Such a great point. Like making the space for people to be their authentic selves. That's the kind of hero we don't see very often in like the limelight or the spotlight. But those are the people who really make a big difference on that personal level.
Right. And what strikes me here is people who are brave enough to tell their own story where they might have gone through this like hero's journey for themselves and come out of it. That is really inspirational and helpful to people. So yeah, right on.
Definitely. James brings his own kind of perspective on this. He also brings in a new layer of the definition, which I think I'm really glad you're here with us live today, James, because I wouldn't have brought this in if you hadn't mentioned it. Challenging injustice, creating fair structures for all, especially for those oppressed and abused. But what I'm referring to is the second part. I'm sensing that hero also might mean leader. When leading involved kindness, empathy, and awareness. So that does tie into what your dear beloved wife says as well. That idea of like being the pioneer of this, creating that space, creating that channel, creating that path for others to demonstrate kindness, empathy, awareness, allow for authenticity, paving the way, right? So this is a really, really great layer of this. The leadership element of heroism is important to bring in here. So thank you to everybody for all of your very awesome comments this week. I feel like just now, as we're kind of winding down this, like, this, let's call it, subconscious Sundays. I feel like as we're winding down this season of it, we're getting a community that really kind of understands that where we're coming at it. Like, we're coming at it from all these different angles. We're coming at it from all these different perspectives, but we're also trying to see like how this plays into the way we see our world and how this affects our decision-making processes, how this affects our will on a subconscious level. Because we are given a lot of narratives in this world. We're provided a lot of templates. We're provided a lot of different examples in the media of what heroism is supposed to look like. And it doesn't always match with our lived experience as individuals. A lot of what we're going to see in these Marvel Cinematic Universe movies is not going to be the kind of heroism that we see from the day-to-day lives of our own acquaintances and the people, just those little things that people do that end up being the big save the day moments. And so I'm going to go into a little bit, just real quick, about why it is.
Well, can I say too?
Oh yeah. Go
Sorry
for
to
it.
interrupt,
Go
but can
for
I
it.
say
No, of
too,
course, of
like
course.
in terms of this Marvel, while we're just touching on this, like, I mean, you can't help but have noticed that, like, that's all the same. Like Joseph Campbell's monomyth, right? Like it's the formula that's put into these movies that create these heroes for us, but it's always saving the little daughter, right? Like, I mean, every single one of them. It's like it's all about saving the little daughter or the little kid. Like, and that's where we get this hero stamp, really, like, try to make it relatable, right? I mean, now that I've said that, if you haven't noticed that, every single one of them, you'll see. They're doing it all for the baby girl, is what I call it.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, like, how does that make women feel, you think? Like, we're not always going to be on that same level as the main character, right? In any time that they have like a female that's the lead role, like a woman who's the lead hero or whatever, it's accused of being woke or whatever. It's like, we can't win, right? So it's like, I don't know. Point is, there's this shadow stigma, societal template that constantly gets challenged, needs to be challenged, and needs to be seen from a lot of different angles. And I myself, the reason why we're winding down this season is so that I can go back and get my master's degree, which is something I have been putting off for a really long time, and I'm really excited about. Be getting a master's degree in something called International Peace Studies and Conflict Resolution. And what really kind of comes up for people when I tell them that I'm going into this work, the imagination, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure there are exceptions to this, but it's this idea of me, a white lady, going into like probably the Southern Hemisphere and like playing savior. And I'm not gonna lie, I see a lot of that kind of trope in that line of work, presented as like what it is. And I got to talking about, I guess it was about a year or two ago, to somebody who had just finished this exact same master's degree at a different, like, sister university to the one I'm going to be going to, Trinity, if you're curious. Um, and she went to Queen's University, and she told me, like, another woman, she told me, like, you're going to need to approach this work from the perspective as a witness, as a sacred witness, as like a silent witness to what is happening, and to be merely someone who is there to really kind of take it all in and kind of cultivate solutions from those who are affected by violence, rather than come in with some sort of solution, come in with ideas, come in with my creativity, and try to save the world. And that I kind of knew on some level, but it really hit home to me when I started like kind of encountering other people that are attracted into this world, and kind of seeing this narrative to like take this yoke upon ourselves to be heroic and show up in places where violence is happening and be a savior. And that to me is the essence of the hero's shadow, because in the spirituality world, we talk about something called the drama triangle. And I learned about this from Teal Swan. I'm not particularly sure where she got it from, but this is something that she talks about a lot on her videos. So this is primarily where I heard it, but then I also learned about it again in seminary. And that is, there's this triad of egoic representations that we tend to revolve around when. And by the way, next week is the topic is drama. It's called Drama Rama. So we'll see you next week for that. But if we find ourselves in the dynamic of hero, victim, or villain, we're most likely in a drama, like creating drama or entering into a drama. And we're most definitely in an egoic dynamic, meaning that our higher selves are not showing up fully in the dynamic that we're in. If we believe ourselves to be coming into the scenario as the hero, then we're probably actually appearing, or there is a strong chance we could be appearing into that dynamic as the villain. And there's also the chance that we could swerve if we're engaging in narcissism or martyrdom, swerve into a previous episode. We talked about the idea of being a victim. Like, my heroic deeds are not being recognized enough. My heroic deeds are not being noticed. My heroic deeds are not getting enough comments and likes on Instagram. That's what I have to deal with a lot. I have to be honest. This hero shadow manifests in my own career, my own life, my own calling as a spiritual practitioner. This need to teach people, this need to go in and like save people from themselves. I have to confront that constantly in this work. And how I confront that is, I'm merely here to create the sacred space, the safe place for people to be able to share their vulnerable stories and to be heard, seen, and understood. It's not for me to come into this work to give advice, tell people how to live their lives, consult with them, give them any kind of like direction. If you come into my work with me, you're not going to get any lick of advice or wisdom from me. It's all going to come from within you. And I've said this on this program before. When I say this to potential clients, sometimes it pisses them off. They're like, what do you mean you're not going to give me advice? I thought that's what spiritual guidance was all about, was like spiritual advice. You're going to tell me how to live my life, right? No, I'm not. I'm really not. Because it is really the practice of creating space for you to cultivate that, generate that, and learn to trust that within yourself. I think, to me, if I'm ever going to be anybody's hero, that's going to be how that happens, unless I'm entering into some kind of drama dynamic with somebody. And that's what we're trying to avoid. That's the hero shadow we're trying to avoid. And I want to just go ahead and put this up before I turn it over to Tim. We got a really lovely comment from Bear. She says, "You guys are my heroes. Thanks for all you do. Genuinely, thank you." All right. But I digress. Tim, what, as a hypnotist, as somebody who is in the therapeutic hypnotism world, how do you feel about what it is this is bringing up?
Well, kind of exactly like, from the role of a hypnotist, or the role of hypnosis, in helping people. It's almost exactly as you described, like kind of the nature of your work. Um, you know, A hypnotist is really helping to create the space that allows people to access the answers that are within their own subconscious minds. And it's almost like the analogy, and I might get this wrong, even though it's so common. It's like you give them the fish, or you teach them to fish, that whole thing, right? Like if you just give them the fish, if you just give them the advice,
Exactly.
give people the advice, it's like, it can be really helpful, or not. It might fall flat. It might, but if it's emerging from oneself, the answers are within us, and they always are. We always find them in the subconscious mind. We always do. It's more like teaching the people how to fish in a way. So it's kind of like, I guess there could be a danger here of just thinking like this is like, heroism on a higher like end of the spectrum, so to speak. But really, it's allowing people to be heroes for themselves, which is kind of harkening back to that last comment there.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I'm gonna make my final note on this, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you to do our hypnosis today. And that is, I think it really comes down to this Rumi quote. Yesterday I was clever, so I tried to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself.
I love that you pulled
And
that
when
in here. I just encountered that like, a couple weeks ago, and I thought that was really, kind of spoke to me. So it's cool.
yeah, we go in there and we heal our own wounds. We're not going to enter into drama dynamics as easily as readily. It is still going to happen.
Key point right there.
Yeah, it's still going to happen. And we still have to be compassionate with ourselves when it happens. But we are gravitating away from that egoic dynamic and into like a higher state of being, and to being more healed, more one with who we are, more aligned with our will, more aligned with our direction in life. And I think that subconscious intimacy, I call it subconscious intimacy, being intimate with one's own subconscious is so key to this. And knowing what your own motivations truly are is so foundational for being an effective leader, an effective healer, or effective hero. And that's really what I wanted to say today. Like that pretty much nails it. And James says, being hero to ourselves, our inner core, soul, and woundedness. Maybe this is what we need to do to create space inside and step out of the drama. James is right. Absolutely right. So, Tim, I know you've prepared a gorgeous hypnosis for us today. So I don't want to waste any more time. We're almost at 30 minutes, but I think we should go over today because it's such a juicy, juicy topic. And I know that you have something so beautiful prepared for us. So when we get there. And
Well, it's a little bit of an
get
adventure. Yeah, let's do it.
But
So, if you all want to join me for this hypnotic meditation, I just want to say, well, first of all, as you kind of settle in to a comfortable, safe position where you can just relax very deeply for a few minutes undisturbed, I just want to say a few words about the hero shadow. Additionally, at some point in this adventure we call life, we all play the role of the hero, the role of the rescuer, the role of the savior. And it's true that if we're caring, compassionate people, we'll be compelled to help people who we believe are in need. And that's okay, and even good in many cases. But when we identify with the hero, identify ourselves as the person who always comes to the rescue for others, we can easily develop limiting beliefs about ourselves and others that can create unnecessary drama. The belief that if people just did what you said, they'd be better off. The belief that someone won't improve without our help or guidance. The belief that people owe us for our heroic efforts. Even just the belief that only we are right, or we're the only one who has the answers for someone else. So when we look closely, when we slow things down, we can see that this is the trap. And when we closely identify with the hero, we can indeed become the victim through martyrdom, or the villain through imposing our beliefs onto others. So today, we're going on a hero's journey of sorts in your mind, an adventure that we're going to slow way down. A slow countdown from 3 back to 1 that you can use anytime in your own life when you recognize the hero shadow in your own life so that new insight and understanding can emerge. So go ahead and settle in, seated or lying down. Uncross your legs, unclasp your hands, allowing yourself to relax. Taking a deep breath. And as you exhale, release any tension in your body. And with each calm breath, you sink deeper into a state of calm and tranquility. And when you're ready, close your eyes. Take your attention to the feeling of the surface beneath you. The surface beneath you gently pushing back up into your back. And as you focus on this sensation, you feel even more and more settled in, comfortably relaxed into the earth. And as you take in another deep breath, send your awareness down, 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 deeper and deeper into the earth, grounded all the way down to the very center of the earth. And as that awareness fades, you go even more deeply, more comfortably relaxed, and you're in harmony with the pulse of the planet. And you now send this renewed sense of relaxation from the top of your head all the way down to the very tips of your toes. 1, 2, 3. And as you take in another deep breath, you allow your awareness to reach upward, up, 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 all the way to the center of the universe. All the way up now. You might call in your higher power, whatever that is to you, and all the loving guidance of your spiritual allies. Know now that an all-encompassing love fills you and your environment. And as you bring your awareness back down from the center of the universe, back down into your body, let the grounded, nurturing energy of the earth and the wisdom and clarity of the divine join forces in this balance point of your heart. You feel it once grounded, settled, calm, and open to inspiration. Imagine a warm, golden light surrounding your body, filling you with a sense of peace and tranquility. You feel this light washing away any last bits of stress and tension in your body. And as your body relaxes more, your mind relaxes. And the more you relax, the better you feel. And the better you feel, even more deeply relaxed and comfortable you can go, leaving you in a state of deep relaxation and stillness. Now slow your rate of breathing. Get into a comfortable, slow rate of breathing with a really long exhalation. And as you comfortably slow your rate of breathing even further, even more slowly and relaxed breath in, you notice just how still your body and your mind can become. Focus on that stillness, that sense of stillness and spaciousness. And you start to get just still enough to start to feel the flow of life all around you. Feel that flow of life now and drop back into that flow and just let go. Let go and surrender back into that flow. Now drop your consciousness into your heart. And as you do, you now imagine being in your heart where there is this amazing library, bookshelves and books. Let the scene unfold in your mind. This is not just any library. This is the library of your heart that holds all of the stories of your life. And you notice a book on one shelf that looks really interesting to you now. Take that book from the shelf. Opening the book, you come to a page, and there's a situation in your life there where you feel like you're trying to be the savior for someone else. Be there now. What's happening? The situation may be simple or complicated, doesn't matter. Might be a one-time thing or an ongoing situation. We start with a slow countdown now. We start with 3, the drama triangle. You know you're trying to be the hero here, but notice where you might start to feel like the victim. On this page in the book, this situation in your life, you notice also where you might feel like the villain. This drama triangle, recognize, can be a trap. This is where the emotional plaque builds up. Entitlement, resentment. Know that the hero manifests in a spectrum of behaviors. No matter how complicated the situation, we can recognize how the hero can act in an integrative way, in a way that is truly selfless, no strings attached, calm, resourceful, deeply empathetic, noticing what others truly need to help them and acting on that. Or the hero can act in a disintegrative way, in a way that qualifies, quantifies, sees others as separate, in a way that may also make us feel like the victim or the villain. And as we reduce 3 by 1, counting down slowly from 3 to 2, we can take this triangle from 3 to 2 and look at integrative behaviors or disintegrative behaviors. Just as we've done, slow, comfortable rate of breathing. And now we can recognize where we might act in a way that could be considered integrative or disintegrative. And as we reduce 2 to 1, counting down slowly even further, stepping down to 1, we realize we can embody and harmonize these opposites. When we're able to embrace our disintegrative behaviors, recognize our integrative behaviors. This is how we are before the fear and prejudices of life have intervened. We give our love freely to others, and we need no other to make us whole. So once again, now back to 1, unify, embrace that disintegrative behavior pattern. Absorb it into your heart now. And notice also where you act in ways that are integrative, allowing you to be more present, empathetic. Absorb that into your heart now and let those 2 opposites harmonize in this balance point of your heart. Take your attention once again to that flow of life all around you. Once again, drop back into that flow of life. Surrender to it, relax into it. Probably feels really good to your body right now. And now, in the flow of life, you've recognized where you can love and accept yourself, even when you've tried to be a hero in a way that might not be as helpful. And you also recognize those ways in which you are a hero, have been a hero to yourself, through compassion for yourself, stillness, awareness, and any time in the next week where you feel a twinge of when you recognize the hero shadow operating in your life, take a slow countdown, 3, back to 2, recognizing where your behaviors are more integrative or more disintegrative. Gather those two together into one in your heart, and you can recognize the sensation of falling back into this flow of life. If you can take these steps at any time, in the moment or afterwards, it will allow you to access a more resourceful, deeper part of yourself where the answers always lie, both for yourself and for others in your life. Faster countdown from 3 back to 1 now. 3, taking your attention again to the surface beneath you, gently pushing up into your back. 2, start to get an echo of that sense of being in the flow of life. And 1, wiggling your toes, fingers, opening your eyes, and right back here with us on Subconscious Sundays.
That was gorgeous. So gorgeous. You
Oh,
can use
awesome.
a little must from and I got my little neck pillow from when I doing my own dive there. It was really
I
great.
think,
And I gotta say, every time you say under your hands, you're always calling me out. Like, oh, yeah.
yeah, it just helps. I think that that kind of thing, it just helps us to, like, when you hopefully you felt that sense of the flow of life around you, freeing up any resistance in your body. I think if we can, when we're doing this type of practice, if we can sit with our legs uncrossed, just it allows us to more fully relax and get a deeper sense of these kind of energies, if you want to call it, or perceptions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I
Yeah.
also want to take, before we sign off today, shameless plug time, book time to talk with either one of us. The links to do that is always going to be in the description of any video of ours that you watch, live or pre-recorded. All of these gorgeous hypnosis sessions that we offer here on the show are really beautifully created for the show to be something that reaches anybody who could possibly be watching. Should you choose to work with Tim on an individual level, from the beginning, those hypnosis sessions will be tailored directly to you and your own experience in
Yeah.
life.
And thank you for saying that, April, too, because this is just really like this is just a little exercise and hopefully kind of a fun
Taste.
little mind, portal for us to explore this stuff. But the hypnosis sessions that we do on one-on-one, it's quite different.
Totally.
It's a little bit deeper. Yeah.
I talk about 95% less in sessions with people who work with me than when I'm on the show. Like, I'm like, blah, blah, blah on the show. I'm supposed to be. But when it comes time for your session to begin one-on-one with me, I sit back silently and allow you to share your own story in your own space. Now, I also want to plug my book, The Devotion Workbook. It's probably appearing backwards on your screen. And if so, I wanted to just tell you that you can go to creativityisspirituality.com and purchase this workbook. It is blank when you get started, but it's going to allow you the chance to be integrated with
Look at
your
that thing.
true
You
self.
filled that out.
Well, I'm in the process on Instagram right now of doing this on a daily basis. Yeah, I am in the process. I'm on day 21 today. And so this is a very huge part of my own process. It is my own process, my journey into true, unwavering, delicious self-love I put into this book. And it was a journal journey that got me there to where I started to feel really confident in myself and my work, and I decided to make it available to other people. I tested it out on a group of people before I published it as a workbook. I saw some really excellent results that are sustaining to this day. And that kind of test group originally was 4 years ago next month. So it's kind of getting up in age, this piece of work, and but it's only been available as a workbook for the last year. Go in and get your own copy. It's one of those things that'll help you with what Tim described in Terry's hypnosis as that integrative process that you can incorporate then into your daily lives. We're saying it over and over again. We need to heal ourselves in order to properly show up in the world to be the healers of the world. If there's anything that I want to get out of today's episode, it's that.
Yeah, and thank you, James. You're very much appreciated, and much love to you too.
Yeah, definitely. To you, your beloved Christelle, and also to all of our regular viewers, such as Bear and anybody else who is just silently watching. We see the number of people watching, but we don't know you're there unless you comment. But I know that there are a lot of you that show up every week that don't necessarily get a chance to say something live. We appreciate you so much. We'll see you for the next few episodes as we wind down this season. Thank you for being here. Book time to talk with either one of us. Links in the description, and we'll see you next Sunday.